Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I know I'm trying something new. Hope you guys like it. I saw this mic fetish on TikTok and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna bring it over to my YouTube channel. So this is where we are at now. My name is Sade and welcome to Sade's Mix, where on Sundays I talk about a crazy true crime story. I give you insight of my life here in South Florida and its beautiful hidden gems. And if any of that interests you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. I greatly appreciate it as it helps me grow my channel. Today, we are going to talk about the crazy story of Teresita Basa and the power of the supernatural. I absolutely should have done this story back in October, but you know what? We are here now. So, with that being said, sit back, grab a snack, and let's get into the story or the supernatural story of Teresita Basa. Also, just want to say before I go any further into the story, if you hear any of the background noise, that is my puppy. He is at my feet losing its mind, and yeah, it's super hard to record with a puppy. It is absolutely hard. But then this story is not about me. Let's get into the story of Teresita. Who is Teresita? Well, there's not much really said about her. This story is kind of old, so there's a lot of lost information. But what I do know is that she was born in 1929 in the Philippines, and she came from a pretty well-off family. Her father was a businessman. What kind of business did he have, Sade? I don't know. That's their business. All I know is that he was a businessman. There's not really much said about Teresa's upbringing or how she was as a kid, but I did get that she was a good student. And in 1960, she actually graduated from the University of Manila. And after her graduation, she pretty much left the Philippines and headed to the United States to pursue her passion in music. Side note, I have a best friend who is Filipino, and it is amazing how gifted they are in music. Like, my best friend's voice is like, she could be the next whoever you idolize. You know what I'm saying? Like, her voice is just angelic. This is not a live video, and I definitely apologize. Let's get back into Teresita's story. So, by 1977, Sis was living her best life in Chicago, where she worked at the Edgewater Hospital. Now, every article that I was reading about pertaining to her story, they highly focused on this hospital. And I was like, what the hell is so important about this hospital? And you know, Google did not disappoint. So I got a little bit of information, but I definitely encourage you guys to Google, or there will be a couple of links in the description box about this hospital. But long story short, this hospital was built in 1929. And there had been a ton of like medical fraud scandals, scandal after scandal after scandal. And there were a few notable serial killers that had been born here, as well as like politicians and stuff like that. But John Wayne Gacy was actually born at this hospital, which, oh God, you know, I've always wanted to do a story on him, but I cannot. Like, his story is sickening. Anyway, and now the hospital has either been demolished and renovated into luxury apartments, or the hospital itself was renovated into luxury apartments. Okay, there's a lot going on there, but enough of the hospital itself. Many of Teresita's colleagues would describe her as being like quiet, intelligent, and unassuming. Okay, I guess they just meant that she didn't really stand out in the crowd, or she was just a loner, but that's how they described her. And on the night of February 21st of 1977, at 10 p.m., you know, a call went out to the local fire department because there seemed to have been a blaze that had originated in her apartment. When the fire department finally arrived on scene, they put the blaze out and they quickly realized that this was a crime scene. Teresita was found under a burning mattress with a knife wound to the chest, and she was fully undressed. To the firefighters, it was clear that someone deliberately set up the fire, put the mattress on top of her to cover up their crime. Initially, the fire department thought that this was a sexual assault, but later on, autopsy would be performed on her body, and it was determined that she was not sexually assaulted. Eventually, the police do get involved and they quickly initiate an investigation to try to make sense as to what happened here. And they quickly start looking through her home, but there's not really much to go over. They don't really find anything. They do, however, find like one small memo that basically said, get theater tickets from AS. And the police are like, well, who is this AS person? Oh my God, the dog just shook the camera and I want to shake him. And they're like, was AS involved in this murder? And police had a good hunch that yes, this person was absolutely involved in her murder, and they needed to figure out who this person was quickly before they acted out again. But as time progressed, there was really no results to who this AS person. They didn't know if it was male or female. They didn't know. They had no idea which way to look or who to look because once again, Teresita was a pretty quiet woman and she didn't really have a lot of friends. Fast forward 5 months into the investigation, one of Teresita's co-workers, this is her name, we're going to call her Remy, and her husband Joe decided that they needed to contact a detective on the case and tell them what they've been recently experiencing. Remy wound up telling the detective that within the last couple of weeks or months, she started dreaming about Teresita, and it was almost like she was being haunted by her, and it was almost the same message over and over and over, and these visions and these dreams are getting worse and worse, and she just needed to come forward. Now, if I was a detective, of course, I'm going to have some skepticism because it's like, am I really going to believe that this woman is being haunted by this dead woman's ghost? But, Joe, he didn't really have any other option. Joe is a detective name, also the same name as her husband, but his name is Joe. Joe Shulit. I put his name down here. Anyway, it's not important. So Joe was like, you know what? I'm going to listen to Remy. I'm going to see what she has to say. Maybe we can get somewhere. So Remy starts to tell about the experiences that she's been having. On one occasion, while Remy was napping, she began speaking in like another voice. This is what her husband is saying. And while speaking in this new voice, the voice is telling her husband like, hey, Alan Showery killed me. Like flat out saying like, Alan killed me. And the voice stated that like Alan also worked at the same hospital as her, which how the hell did the police miss that? Like, wouldn't that be the first place that you looked to see like if any of her colleagues was involved in this? But police back then were not the greatest and they're not the greatest now. But yeah, so the detective Joe is like, Alan Showery, AS. This is rather interesting. So he tells Remy to continue. And Remy says that, after that first encounter, first possession, she kind of shrugged it off and was like, maybe she's under stress because she just lost her best friend or whatever. But then it happened again. And Remy's husband, Joe, said that this time when the possession happened, the voice was asking, like, why hadn't you go to the police with the information? And Remy's husband, Joe, decided that he was going to ask the spirit, like, what's, like, some questions. So Joe says, we don't have any evidence to go to the police. What can you tell us so that they would believe us? And get this, Teresita's spirit, speaking through Remy, said that Alan had stolen some of her jewelry, and she knows that some of that jewelry is now in the possession of his girlfriend. So we got Remy, we got Joe, and we got Detective Joe. They're all kind of like flabbergasted. They don't really know how to handle the information. It's super bizarre, but, the detective is thinking, at this point, you know what? Let me look into it. So, Detective Joe decided it doesn't hurt to run a quick background check to figure out, like, where Alan stays, like what's his deal, what's going on with him. And the detective was able to uncover a lot of information rather quickly. He was able to notice that Alan lived a few blocks from Miss Teresita's home. And he even uncovered from a couple of colleagues that they had remembered that Alan had said that he was going to Teresita's home to go ahead and fix or like repair a old television that she had. He locates Alan, he brings him in for questioning, and Alan, he does admit that he was at Teresita's house that night and that he was there to repair a TV. He told the police that he did not have the proper tools to like fix the TV, so he basically left and went back home. He never went back to Teresita's house that night. That's what he was stating. But like the story just didn't add up to the detective, and he found it super odd that like you would go to someone's house knowing you had to fix a TV set but didn't have the tools. So he kept pressuring him. And the detective contacted Alan's girlfriend and was asking like, hey, had you recently received any jewelry or gifts from your boyfriend? And the girlfriend would go on to say, yeah, I actually received a few pieces of jewelry. And the detective said, would you mind bringing in those pieces of jewelry? That way we could just make sure that this jewelry wasn't stolen jewelry. Not wanting to get in trouble for her boyfriend, she agrees to bring the jewelry to the police station, and immediately Detective Joe realizes that the pieces of jewelry that she has is the exact pieces of jewelry that Teresita's spirit had described to Joe, Remy's husband. And he's like, you know what the hell is happening right now? Like, with no way out of the situation, Alan decided that, you know what, I need to confess. So he does. He just does just that. He confessed to the murder of Teresita, and he would go on to say that he initially went to her house to rob her. He goes on to say that after he stabbed her, he did strip her naked to make it look like it was a sexual assault gone wrong, and lit the home ablaze to basically cover any evidence. And just like that, Alan confessed and was arrested and charged with her murder. And at first, he pled not guilty, which, okay. But after 4 weeks behind bars, he decided to change his not guilty plea to guilty. And once the public got a hold of it, they started running with this story. Initially, people started saying that Teresita's ghost was actually haunting him behind bars, forcing him to take responsibilities, while others were convinced that his lawyers had told him to plead guilty for a lesser sentence. And a lesser sentence is exactly what Alan got. He was only sentenced to 14 years for killing her. And guess how much time he actually served? 5. He served 5 years and ended up being paroled and released in 1983, where he immediately hightailed it out of Chicago and moved to New York City to start his new life. He's actually still alive now. I couldn't really get much information like where is he now, but many people, including myself, felt like the justice system failed Teresita in this situation. And it seems like you work so hard to bring someone to justice, for them to still get off easy, it doesn't make any sense to me. But what do you think about this story? Is there really life after death? Like, and if so, do you think that Teresita actually solved her own murder? I would love to hear what you guys think down below. I definitely love and appreciate all you guys have given me support over these last couple months, and I really enjoy putting out these videos for you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. Dislike is also acceptable as well, as I appreciate those as well. They make me change. I will be seeing you guys next time, and yeah, let me know about your spooky encounters down below. Be safe out there, guys, and have an amazing evening. Bye.